Chris and Shelley, obviously growing up in clubhouses, arrived on the big league scene with a deferential demeanor. You have a ton of respect for the veterans, but I know that beyond that, you have a great deal of respect for Chris Carpenter. Tell us about your memories of playing with him and your friendship with him.
I just think you're only as good as your best players. And getting to the big leagues and watching your best player like Albert Pujols or your best pitcher like Chris Carpenter and seeing how hard they work, it rubs off. And I really appreciated that when I went and I signed with the Nationals. And there was a couple of players that were supposed to be their best players, and I saw how they went about their business, and it made me really appreciate the opportunity I had to play for the Cardinals. And seeing how much money and how much fame and how much success Albert had, and still seeing him get to the field and be the first one there and work harder than anybody on that team is something I'll never forget. I refer to him all the time when I talk to people, when I try to help kids and I talk to high school kids. And the same thing with Chris Carpenter, watching him work in the offseason down in Florida, watching how hard he worked, that stuff rubs off on other players. And if you've got great players that are supposed to be leaders and they don't go about their business the right way, it rubs off on the rest of the team. And I hate to point out the Nationals, but when I went over there, you could see that. You could see that happening. And you're only as good as your best player. Actually, you talked to me about that quite a bit.
That's what I believe that wholeheartedly. I learned that in the minor leagues when I was in A-ball, and I was playing with Robinson Cano. He was just this natural gifted baseball player, and every single Latin player just looked up to Robinson. They emulated him. They wanted to be like him. He was already in this huge name recognition in Dominican. People loved the way he played, loved how good he was. But he was just naturally gifted, and that's what gave him success. So when he would go out there and play, he would play nonchalant. He played like he didn't care. He really didn't really work hard, just use his talent to get there. And that's how the other players on the team started to go about their business. And we didn't really win a lot. You know, when you play on a team where the best player is the hardest worker, the other guys, everybody subconsciously wants to be at that level. So they ask themselves, what do I need to do to be at that level? How do I prepare to be at that level? And they start working as hard. They start doing that. And you go to the Yankees, you know, a lot of people talk bad about Alex Rodriguez, but he's the hardest worker on that team. In 2007, he had godly numbers. It was the most amazing thing. And, you know, later on you find out all the stuff he's doing, but that's a side note. He took Cano under his wing. He took Melky Cabrera under his wing. He took all these people under their wings, and he worked that hard. You had Roger Clemens. Everyone wanted to be like Roger Clemens. He was the hardest working pitcher on the team. Andy Pettitte emulated Roger Clemens. Every other pitcher on the staff emulated Roger Clemens. So that's why we were that good. The best players on the team were the hardest workers. And that's something that I learned a lot from, you know, what Dad always preaches. Enable your best players to become leaders. You know, once they become leaders, you're going to start getting the best out of everybody else. And I think that's one of the big reasons why his staff is always so good, is because he's enabled pitchers like Carpenter to become the leaders of the staff.